Ladies and gentlemen of this great republic, and to all free peoples gathered under the banner of liberty across the globe, in this hour of trial, as the sands of time shift once more in the eternal struggle for peace and order, I come before you not as a mere commentator, but as a sentinel of history, drawing upon the lessons of yesteryear to illuminate the shadows of our present peril. The conflict that now engulfs the United States, our steadfast ally Israel, and the intransigent regime in Iran is no fleeting tempest. It is a cataclysm that echoes the great wars of old, where empires clashed over the sinews of power, oil, currency, and the unyielding will of nations. As of this day, March 10th in the year of our Lord 2026, we stand at the precipice, gazing into the abyss of a world remade by fire and resolve. Allow me, in the spirit of those venerable statesmen who once rallied their peoples against tyranny, to unfold this narrative with the gravity it demands, a discourse spanning the thunder of battle, the tremors in our global economy, and the profound truths underlying this crusade. Let us first cast our eyes upon the theater of war, where the clash of arms resounds like the drums of ancient campaigns. On the 28th of February, in a stroke reminiscent of the bold maneuvers of bygone eras, the forces of the United States and Israel unleashed a symphony of righteous fury, Operation Epic Fury from our shores, and Roaring Lion from the valiant defenders of Jerusalem. In the velvet cloak of night, nigh upon 900 aerial sorties pierced the veil, striking at the heart of Iran's arsenal their ballistic missiles, their fortified redoubts of air defense, the sinews of their military might, and yea, even the exalted seats of their leadership. The supreme leader himself, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, met his end amidst the rubble, alongside scores of his lieutenants in the Revolutionary Guard. This was no act of caprice, but a calculated thrust to sever the serpent's head, as President Trump himself proclaimed, urging the noble Persian people to rise and cast off their chains of oppression. Yet, as in the epics of old, the foe does not yield without retribution. Iran, that ancient cradle of civilization now gripped by fanaticism, has countered with a barrage of hundreds of missiles and swarms of mechanical drones, raining devastation upon American embassies, our bases scattered across the Levant, and the vital oil arteries of the Middle East. From the hills of Lebanon, the proxies of Hezbollah have joined the fray, assailing Israel and even the outposts of our British brethren in Cyprus. Most audaciously, Tehran has proclaimed the Strait of Hormuz a narrow artery through which courses 1/5 of the world's petroleum and a bounty of natural gas, an inviolable barrier, sealed against the commerce of nations. Tankers lie idle, their cargoes hostage to this blockade, evoking memories of the great naval blockades that once strangled empires. President Trump, in words that ring with the resolve of a Churchill or a Roosevelt, has vowed that should this stranglehold persist, Iran shall feel the full weight of our might 20-fold in its ferocity. And now, in a twist of succession that harks back to the dynasties of yore, Mojtaba Khamenei, son of the fallen leader, ascends to the throne of power, signaling not surrender, but a deepening of the storm. The toll is grievous, over 1,000 souls lost to the ether, hundreds of thousands of wayfarers stranded in foreign lands, and the edifice of infrastructure laid waste. Iran's volleys continue, though diminished by our unyielding assaults, and whispers emerge of Pakistan, that sentinel of the East, poised to safeguard the Gulf in the aftermath, bound by ancient ties to Arabia. But my friends, this is no mere chronicle of swords and shields. It is a saga woven into the very fabric of our world's economy, where the black gold of oil, the steadfast dollar, and the eternal luster of yellow metal hold sway like the treasures of legendary kings. Behold the upheaval in oil, that elixir upon which modern civilization depends. With the Hormuz Strait ensnared, 20 million barrels vanish daily from the global ledger, propelling Brent crude beyond the $100 mark, a surge unseen since the crises of decades past. In our own fair land, the price at the pump ascends to realms that burden the common man, rising 17% in mere days. The sages of Goldman Sachs foretell even greater tempests. Should this endure, inflation shall ravage the earth, growth shall falter by 0.5 point in the year's first half, and the specter of stagflation, that unholy alliance of stagnation and rising prices, shall haunt us as it did in the shadowed 70s. Europe, still scarred from prior wounds, braces for renewed privation. Asia, thirsting for Gulf nectar, faces shortages that could cleave their economies asunder. In the Emerald Isles of India, fuel queues lengthen, and hearts grow cold for want of gas. The Bourse of Nations has hemorrhaged $3 trillion in but 4 days, a cataclysm rivaling the Great Crash of '08. If the strait remains barred for months, we court a recession profound, a global winter where prosperity HIB or an ATS turn now to the almighty dollar, that beacon of stability forged in the fires of Bretton Woods, the cornerstone of the Petrodollar covenant. In this maelstrom, investors seek refuge in its embrace, bolstering its value as in the panics of old. For oil, that global commodity, is bartered in dollars alone, ensuring a ceaseless demand that fortifies our currency against the tempests. Yet beware the double-edged sword. Prolonged strife may compel our Federal Reserve to hold fast on rates, lest inflation devour our gains, thus tempering the vigor of our economy. The dollar's ascent may briefly dim the shine of gold, but in the grand ledger, it underscores America's enduring dominion. Gold, the immutable sovereign of assets, untouched by the whims of fiat or the rust of time. As fears mount, its price hath soared to pinnacles and dreamed beyond $5,300 per ounce, a record etched in the annals of finance. It stands as the bulwark against debasement, the haven for the prudent in eras of upheaval. When oil roars and the dollar flexes, gold gleams brighter still, hedge against the chaos. Prophets of the market divine further ascents to 5,500, perchance 6 should the drums of war beat on. Central banks, those guardians of wealth, hoard it as kings of antiquity hoarded their troves. And so we arrive at the crux. The eternal question that has bedeviled statesmen through the ages: is this war a quest for regime change, or a vigilant defense of the petrodollar edifice that has sustained the Pax Americana since the twilight of the Second World War? On the surface, our aims are clear and just: to dismantle Iran's nuclear machinations, to shatter their missiles of terror, to sever the tentacles of their proxy legions like Hezbollah. President Trump speaks of triumphs, 90% of ballistic threats quelled, their navy humbled, and hints at a swift conclusion, though not without caveats. He warns that no successor may perpetuate the peril, echoing calls for the Iranian masses to reclaim their destiny, much as we aided the fall of despots in epochs past. Recall the intervention of '53, when we thwarted the nationalization of Persian oil, restoring balance to the world order. Yet delve deeper into the vaults of strategy, and behold the true grail, the petrodollar's sanctity. Iran, in its defiance, hath sought to trade its oil in euros and yuan, forging pacts with China, that rising colossus which devours 80 to 90% of Tehran's exports. Such heresy erodes the dollar's throne, diminishing our leverage, our ability to fund the engines of liberty. A humbled Iran, aligned with the West, could redirect its riches into dollar streams, denying sustenance to our rivals and reaffirming our financial imperium. Nay, this shadow war extends to Peking itself, for through Iran's oil, China builds a realm beyond the dollar's grasp. Regime change, though noble in intent, is a path fraught with thorns, costly, as the quagmires of Iraq and Afghanistan attest, breeding insurgencies that linger like ghosts. Better to neutralize the threat, enforce the sanctity of sea lanes, and foster a dawn where moderation may bloom without the yoke of endless occupation, fellow guardians of freedom. This is our clarion call. We cannot suffer rogues to wield energy as a cudgel or atoms as a sword. We stand shoulder to shoulder with Israel, with the moderate sentinels of the Gulf, and with the oppressed of Iran who dream of liberty's light. The economic pangs are acute, but they are the forge that tempers our steel. High roll today begets unassailable security tomorrow. A fortified dollar and resilient markets ensure the prosperity of posterity. We shall prevail, not through the folly of interminable conflict, but through the timeless virtues of strength, sagacity, and an unswerving devotion to the order of nations. The alternative is the abyss, and we, heirs to the giants of history, shall not descend into it. I thank you, and may the Almighty bless our endeavors for peace wrought through unyielding fortitude.